Hello, and welcome to the Progressive Perspective. I'm Basil. That's Cody. That's Larry. Tonight we're talking about the progressive organizations that are doing the work. We're talking the DSA. We're talking Justice Democrats. Every organization mentioned, we will provide a link to in the description below. It's no secret we're going to try and join the DSA. We're in the process of doing that right now. With that, I'm going to turn it over to my main man, Cody.
Yeah, so right now I actually think, even though it's a dark time, I think there's a lot of reasons for hope because there's a lot of good things developing. And one of the things I'm most optimistic about is like the DSA as an organization. It's growing very quickly. There's some figure here like in 2016, the DSA had fewer than 10,000 members. This year, 12,000 new people joined just in between October 1st and November 11th. It's growing at an increasing pace. Soon we'll be over 100,000. It's the biggest socialist organization in America, and it's growing at an increasing pace. Bernie Sanders running a grassroots insurgent presidential campaign, almost got the nomination, very closely got the nomination. It was only because the whole Democratic establishment moving in concert against him that he didn't get it. A lot of things are happening right now where I'm optimistic about what's going on. There are also a slew of electoral victories from the DSA, and it's kind of muddy in between the DSA and the Justice Democrats, but like the squad has doubled in size now with the election of Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush, and two others who I don't recognize. Yeah, a lot of good things are happening. I'm trying to find the electoral victories I had up of the. Here we go. While this is from an article I read on Talking Points memo. While the Democrats debate whether the party has moved too far to the left or not far enough, Democratic Socialists of America, the nation's largest socialist organization, scored its biggest victories in this year's election cycle. There are currently 71 DSA members holding public office this year. One was defeated for re-election and two did not run for re-election. Another 30 DSAers were elected this year for the first time, bringing the total to 101. When the new winners take office in January, this is greater than at any time since about 1912, when the Socialist Party had a strong foothold in both urban and rural America. Most of the socialists who have recently been elected to the office represent safe blue areas, but they have also made inroads in purple areas, including Montana, Indiana, North Dakota, Texas, and Tennessee. DSA also spearheaded several impressive ballot measure victories around progressive causes like minimum wage, rent control, and universal preschool. The class consciousness is building and it's coming to the fore, and the working class is mobilizing. And I'm optimistic. I see things just getting better. Barring environmental catastrophe and all the things that we're racing against the clock in a sense, because the risk of nuclear war is escalating, the risk of environmental catastrophe is escalating, and those can potentially converge. And it's about changing things before that happens.
Yeah, and can you update?
Don't you think that?
Oh, I'm sorry, Larry.
I was going to say, Cody, don't you think that the fact that we're racing against the clock, in a sense, is a motivation too, and this particularly for youth who see that the natural world as it had been is being destroyed right before their eyes, and destroying their future with it as an incentive for youth to not only believe in something different than this terrible system we live under, but to also be motivated to activity. And we certainly saw that among thousands and thousands of youth who participated in both of the Bernie Sanders campaigns and the development of youth climate movements such as the Sunrise Movement and others, and not only nationally but worldwide. And for all of us, I mean, for me, it's although I've been a socialist all my adult life, it's a motivating factor that we need to do this thing. We need to do this thing. It's absolutely essential for the future of people on Earth. And I believe we can do it. There's a lot more of us than the ruling class, the billionaire class. And it's a matter of educating people, motivating people, and showing people that there are ways to do this and that our solutions make sense really in every way. For instance, we can have Medicare for all, complete medical coverage for everybody, and save money, not lose money, save money. We can do a Green New Deal and create great jobs, educate people, build a new energy infrastructure, and in the long run, save money, save lives, save the earth. So socialism is a win-win-win. The losers would be the ruling class, the criminal class, the predatory class, the parasite class that's been exploiting all of us and destroying the earth along with their program.
And Cody, can you update the audience on where we are in joining the DSA?
We are pre-OC in the chapter pipeline process, like in the process to form a chapter. We're currently pre-OC. There's several steps in between some DSAers at large and chapter. You have to go from at large to pre-OC to OC, and then to get from OC to chapter, that can take some time because I believe the National Political Committee has to vote to approve your request to be a chapter. Right now we're pre-OC, and I just got an email from the DSA about the requirements that we need to fulfill in order to go to OC, which many of them we already have.
Okay.
So that's where we're at with that.
So we're talking about the next step is we become an organizing committee on the way to being a recognized chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America. Is that correct, Cody?
Yeah.
So those requirements are memberships. So there's me, Cody, Larry, Kurt couldn't be with us tonight. He's off trying to steal the Declaration of Independence to clear his family name. We wish him the best of luck. He'll be back next episode. We got Colin Cash. Is he agreed?
What's that?
Colin Cash?
Oh yeah, we've got probably, I think about 11 dues paying members now.
Sweet.
And we'll need 15 for the final approval as an organizing committee. So if each of us keeps reaching out to other acquaintances and comrades, we'll get the 15 and we'll move ahead. Cody, another hopeful thing, why don't you report on our contact with the Red River Valley chapter?
Yeah, we met with the Red River Valley DSA chapter on Sunday. The meeting went great. They had a lot of insights that they shared with us. We kind of asked them about their advice for us as a fledgling chapter, alliances we should build, stuff like that. The meeting went really well. We discussed building a statewide chapter, which I think is a really good move so that all DSA chapters in Minnesota can move in concert. There's been some attempts to do that, but they haven't been completed as of yet. But that's something I'm really excited about. We're going to get in contact with the Twin Ports DSA, which is Duluth. Yeah.
We're hoping to find common cause in some activism around the Line 3 pipeline, which is a huge issue in Minnesota and nationally now. I mean, it's a huge, dirty tar sands oil pipeline project that has to be stopped, and we want to be involved in that. And I thought it was very hopeful that the Red River folks were very interested in cooperation with other chapters. And also their chapter has 188 dues paying members, which I was impressed by.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Cody, how many members in Congress do we have in the DSA?
Oh, currently, I believe we have 6. So there's the 2 houses, right? There's the Senate and the Congress. Let me just see.
Just need something to hold me over for the night.
So we have AOC, obviously, Rashida Tlaib. Okay, yeah, we have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Jamal Bowman, Rashida Tlaib, Cori Bush, and Danny K. Davis currently serving in the House of Representatives.
Bernie in the Senate.
Bernie in the Senate. I can't find any figures on the Senate. I've looked at this before, but we have a slew of candidates throughout the country and state level legislatures. Like in Minnesota, we have Jen McEwen and Omar Fateh.
And that's a cause of hope for me. Jen McEwen's election in Duluth, overwhelmingly defeating the Republican, taking very progressive positions on Medicare for all, Green New Deal, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, she's great.
All right, with that, I want to shift over to the Justice Democrats. The Justice Democrats were founded after the 2016 election of Donald Trump. Cenk Uygur, Kyle Klinsky, Shigat Chakrabarti, and Zach Exley from the Bernie campaign.
They were all Bernie supporters at that time.
Yes, they were all very big Bernie supporters. They were so unbelievably pissed at the establishment for losing 1,100 national and state seats over the country, for losing to Donald Trump, and they boiled all that rage and formed a political organization. Justice Democrats refuse any and all corporate PAC money. They refuse any big donor money. It's all people money, up to $5,000. So it's people like you and me donating $20 at a time, $30 at a time, $50 at a time. They're not running uncorrupted. It's just regular people. AOC was a bartender. We got her past the fourth Democrat in the House, Joe Crowley. We took down Joe Crowley. After the 2018 midterms, we had 7. After the 2020 midterms, 2020 election, we now have 10. We have, give me a sec. We have Raul Grijalva from Arizona, Ro Khanna from California, Juliette Gomez from California, Mary Newman, Alex Morse, Aliana Presley, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Cori Bush, AOC, Jamal Bowman, Pramila Jayapal, the head of the Progressive Caucus. We're growing, we're strong, we're running uncorrupted. And the point of this show is to show you that you're not alone. Progressives are everywhere. They're super strong, and they're insurgent. They're on their way.
Perhaps one of those people that you mentioned could be our progressive candidate to challenge the Democratic establishment in the next presidential election.
Yes. Hopefully one of them. And we also should talk about Our Revolution, who was founded after Bernie's loss in 2016, shortly after his primary loss. It's headed up by Nina Turner, who just announced a congressional run in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
They're more on the state and local level. They're trying to infiltrate the Democratic Party. They're trying to become party officers.
They're doing the dang thing too. They got 23 of the candidates they endorsed won just in Minnesota. That's just in Minnesota for the state House of Representatives and things like that.
Yeah, and a lot of what you'll see is all these progressive organizations work together and they try to help each other, and there's a lot of a coalition going on here.
Is Brand New Congress still active? I know that was another Bernie spinoff. I think they may have been.
I think they merged into the Justice Democrats.
They merged with Justice Democrats.
I think so.
It was another Bernie spinoff, basically.
Yes, there was a lot of new progressive organizations.
Oh, and the other thing to be hopeful about is just there's fertile ground. I mean, this is the time the working class is being screwed. Minorities are being oppressed. And okay, the Black Lives Movement, Black Lives Matter movement is a reason for hope. The fact that Bernie's campaign was definitely multicultural, multiracial, multi-generational. We've got support among all groups. I mean, especially heavy among youth, but we've got support. The Black Lives Matter movement, which is, drawn attention and has been also grown in other cultures around the world where other minorities have problems with police oppression, is a very important development. The fact of Latino and Chicano and other participation in political matters. And these candidates that these progressive groups are supporting, you see Black candidates, you see Asian American candidates, Latino American candidates, you see Muslim candidates, candidates from South Asia, great ethnic diversity. And this is something, as we know, living in the Trump era, racism is alive and thriving in our country. And, but it's also eliciting a response, and we're going to be fighting against it. We have a multi-ethnic, multi-racial, multi-generational coalition developing to fight against racism, which is, of course, one of the main props of capitalism.
And something I feel should be noted is we've put a scare into the establishment with these organizations.
Absolutely.
Ed Markey was not a super progressive senator until very recently. So AOC goes into Congress, all of a sudden Ed Markey is introducing the Green New Deal in the Senate. And so at least there are politicians in there that are smart enough.
And he beat off his challenger handily.
Yeah.
Kennedy.
Excuse me?
Kennedy. He beat off a Kennedy. He had the establishment well behind him.
I love it. Oh man, I love that Joe Kennedy lost. Anyway.
If we can give people reasonable, progressive choices that have programs in mind that will help people, and we can educate people around them, the support is there. I mean, I knocked on hundreds of doors for Bernie, and even people who were going to vote for somebody else liked Bernie, liked some of the programs, but were convinced by media and such that he just couldn't make it, or we couldn't afford those programs. I mean, people just need to be educated. As I said before, with Medicare for All, we save money, we save lives, we save money, we save the stress of living in a society where you never know if you're going to be able to pay medical bills if you get them, where people lose their homes, go bankrupt, et cetera, because they get sick. If we could take that burden off of people, save money, save lives, it all makes sense. The things that progressive support make sense. And when people can be convinced and just simply educated. One of the main problems in the United States of America is that people are ignorant, and intentionally so. People have not been educated about history, about geography, about science. So it's easy to manipulate them and for the ruling class to confuse us and make us oppose our own interests. We could have medical care. Hey, we could have peace. We could have peace. We could take that military budget and build housing for the homeless. We could educate people. We could provide medical care. We can do all these things. It's just a matter of who has power. We want working people to have power.
Yep. And basically, a lot of what you'll hear in these organizations is that the biggest obstacle to the things we want, the biggest obstacle to Medicare for all isn't the Republicans. It's the corporate Democrats.
Yeah.
It's the person who will say, hey, I'm on your side. Now, please shut the fuck up.
Medicare for all is overwhelmingly popular among Democrats. It's, as you say, it's among the Democratic elite, the power structure of the Democratic Party. That's where it stopped. The people would want it and accept it. So if the Democratic Party would get behind Medicare for all, we could have it. We could deliver a great victory for the people. It's people like Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi that allow our people to die.
Cody was about to say something.
Yeah, I really, the way the Democrats, the role they fill, the Democratic elite at least, is the Democrats and Republicans, is it more represents the schism within the ruling class. They don't actually represent us. They're, insurgent candidates like AOC and Bernie Sanders who actually are authentically working class. But yeah, the Democrats' real role is they set the parameters for debate. This is how far reasonable political thought can go and no further, that's really the role they fulfill, in our in our society.
In this talk of unity, I am for unity, but unify behind what? Behind you? You lost to Donald Trump. You lost 1,100 seats in a year. Or no, over the course of your political career, just in the last decade. Unify behind you? You clearly don't know what you're doing. And you stand for nothing. If I unify behind you, we'll never achieve anything.
Unify behind Joe Biden, who said, nothing essential will change.
And I just can't do it. Just can't do it. When Nancy Pelosi says unity, she really means get back in line. Shut up and follow me. Exactly. Unify behind us.
Don't make waves. Don't try to change anything, really. Don't change who has power or in whose interest the country is governed. And people like her, what is she worth? 110 million or something?
Something like that.
I tend to go after the Republicans or not. I tend to go after the Democrats more than the Republicans. The Republicans are what they are. They're wolves. Democrats are wolves in sheep's clothing. They're meant to make you think we live in a democracy when we don't. It's the illusion of choice,
Well,
not that they're the same, because there's those small differences have huge consequences when we're talking about the most powerful offices in the world. They're not the same, but they're part of the same power structure.
They're both current. They're both current within the ruling class.
You expect more from the Democrats.
They regulate each other. Like they're part of the same system. They're not antagonistic, I feel.
I feel like the Democrats are the establishment Democrats are paid to be idiots. They're paid to lose. They're paid to, what can we do? The Republicans strong-armed us again. What can we do? Just Dick Durbin's that way. Like, during the DACA negotiations, in an interview, he said, well, I went up to Mitch McConnell and he said, I'm trusting you on this. Now,
they know what they're doing.
Either Dick Durbin is the stupidest man on the planet to trust Mitch McConnell that Mitch McConnell is going to fund a DACA, or he knows. He knows.
Look, the Democratic establishment, the Democrats, while they were trying to impeach Trump, were basically passing almost all of his legislative program, his budget, renew the Patriot Act, et cetera, et cetera. And they've made it very clear in the last election that they would have rather let Trump win the election than have Bernie Sanders win the election. That says it all.
I think the Justice Democrats have done a great job at removing these corporate hack Democrats. Dan Lipinski was just just kicked out of Congress by Marie Newman. Elliot Engel was just kicked out of Congress by Jamal Bowman. On a hidden camera, he said, he was telling Jamal Bowman, if I wasn't in a primary, I wouldn't care. Did you guys hear that?
No, I didn't.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you, Cody. But it's just so brazen. They think they feel entitled to their seat. They feel entitled to their power. They feel like the seat should serve them and not the people.
They've done some pretty wretched things too. Even just recently, like Nancy Pelosi, she rejected the skinny stimulus bill that the Republicans had agreed to, just to turn around and agree to a stimulus bill that included no stimulus check for the working class, no retroactive unemployment benefits. It was smaller on top of that. But then she acts like it's a victory, when really what she was doing was she was stabbing the working class in the back in order to undermine a political opponent. That's really what she did. She blocked the skinny bill to hurt Trump, got Biden elected, then passed her even shittier stimulus bill.
People are going to lose their unemployment. People are going to lose their homes. It's a disaster for working people.
So Republicans in the Senate said, okay, ground floor, a $1 trillion stimulus bill. They negotiate with Nancy Pelosi. They come out of the negotiations. Guess how much the stimulus bill that they're proposing is? 910 billion. They went lower than the ground floor. They went lower than the starting point.
And
Worst negotiators you've ever seen.
these Democrats, they went to some of the finest schools on earth, just like the Republicans, very privileged backgrounds, most of them. They're not stupid. They're not stupid. Just because we don't know what they're doing doesn't mean they don't know what they're doing. They're screwing the working class.
And Harry Reid, we're kind of rambling here, but it sets the tone. It's all correct. We're not lying here. Harry Reid, for his entire career, has just given in to Republicans, left and right. And every time I start talking about Harry Reid, I get some Democrat. I've had conversations with other Democrats saying, "Oh, he used to be a boxer, or he yelled at a guy in the mafia. He never did any of that in Congress. He never did any of that. He just agreed with them. He was a speaker."
Well, we need new people, new policies, new politics. We need working class interests in the government.
I do feel that the Democrats' facade is collapsing, though. I feel that like so many people just see through it nowadays, especially young people. Like the Nancy Pelosi's and the Joe Bidens, they're on their way out. The Bernie Sanders and the AOCs, they're the future of the party. Unless there's some major paradigm shift, but I think that that's what's coming.
And remember that a lot of people that voted Democratic before voted for Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
That's how disenchanted they were with Democrats.
Well, do any of you guys remember the 2014 Democratic platform?
No.
I do.
Did it include Medicare for all?
No, it did not. It was protect Obamacare, protect abortion rights, and nothing. The Democratic Party didn't stand for anything. They didn't. It wasn't until Bernie started pushing on issues that you had a specified.
And Bernie affected more than that. Like it was only when Bernie came along, then did you notice when the corporations started saying, oh, we've realized that there's other things that are important besides just the bottom line. We're going to be involved in, socially relevant causes and stuff. I mean, he actually pushed corporations to pretend like they give a damn about society. Bernie had a tremendous tremendous effect. And some other candidate that takes similar positions and gets the same coalition behind, which will only grow. That's our, I believe that's our hope for achieving some level of working class power in the short to medium term, because we need to do that. Without a Green New Deal going into effect sometime in the near future, we are in horrendous trouble. We're already in trouble.
But it's just been this attitude of Democrats will never fight. They'll just roll over for Republicans and throw up their hands and say, what can we do?
Yeah, and
I
the
guess I got to
Republicans,
keep my job.
the Republicans, they just get more insane as the years go by. And the Democrats, what do? They fold and they go to the right. The Republicans, they get more insane, and the Democrats just move to the right with them. Rather than hold the line or go left, they just say, oh, whatever, I guess we'll compromise with religious zealots who want to make life on earth impossible. Whoa, what's the big deal?
And if we had a truly progressive party that could deliver some victories for working people, that party would be undefeatable. I mean, really, there are so many more of us than them. If we could provide people with medical care, education, housing, food security, people going hungry in a country that produces as much food as this country, it's totally insane. If we had a party that could deliver some victories to people, that party would win.
Well, we gotta transform the Democratic Party drastically. And that's really the DSA and the Justice Democrats and our revolution. That's really what these organizations are designed to do. That's their stated goal, and they really need your help. I'm gonna put links to all the websites in the description below. Please consider donating to them. We really wanted to drive the point home that the time is now. We can't wait for a more convenient season. We have to fight now.
Cody, is there a way that if anybody's interested in our forming local DSA chapter, that they could get in touch with us?
With us,
They could just message us on the Facebook page.
yeah,
Okay, message us on the Facebook page. Cool.
Okay. Well, that's our show. Later on this week, we'll be talking about forcing a vote on the Democratic House floor. See you next week.
so yeah.
Bye-bye.